if we make a start, if that's okay. So, welcome everybody to the latest Joe Dale webinar. I'm absolutely delighted to be working with Emmanuel Joy today, the founder of Talis Learn, which is a very exciting new AI tool which allows you to practice your conversation with talking avatars, which obviously can help you with your speaking practice, with understanding grammar and vocabulary. It's a really interesting tool, and what Emmanuel is going to do in a moment, he's going to live demo, so no pressure. He's going to live demo how the avatars work and how you can use it for speaking practice, and how it's GDPR compliant as well, which, as we all know, is a very important feature. I'm going to be, as per normal, sitting in the background. So in a moment, I'll be turning my video off and my audio off, but I will be collecting any of your questions that you may have and putting them in a Google Doc, and then I can then put those to Emmanuel when we have like a natural pause, which is great. So feel free to write any questions that you would like in the chat. That's fine. And we're going to run for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so. Yeah, can't wait to get started. So over to you, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I can't wait for you to demonstrate how we can use talking avatars with AI. It's a really exciting development, and it's a very cool tool, I think, that you developed. So maybe before we start about the actual demo, do you want to give us a bit of a backstory about yourself, how you got into Talos Learn, and yeah, what's your background? Over to you.
Absolutely, Joe. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I used to be an AI engineer at Instagram. So basically working on AI, in particular voice and avatar technology. So that is what my career has been. Our entire founding team at Talis is also so my co-founder, and he's also in the same career, same line of work, also at Instagram. So basically, about a year and a half ago, we thought, hey, you know, the whole Meta, I'm sure you guys know Meta, Facebook, Instagram, like they're not, the whole organization, I wouldn't say is doing something great for the world in a positive sense. So we said, hey, what if we use this powerful technology to help schools and teachers in classrooms, especially language teachers, and design it in a way that's very visual, pleasing for the student, and also entirely teacher driven. So that was the well, we started out about a year and a half ago, and now, yeah, over 200 language departments worldwide, 7 countries use us in to give basically, like, the problem that we're solving is a student in a class, in a language class, maybe gets 5 minutes of speaking time, personalized speaking time with the teacher. They have to wait till the next day or the next 2 days or something. But now we really want to deliver, speaking outside of the classroom as almost like a homework assignment. So.
Yeah, and that's the key, I think. I think with AI avatars like Talos Learn, it means that the students that the really keen ones in particular, I think, can have that independent practice and can practice for as long as they want to. Essentially, that's my understanding. So I think that from the point of view of encouraging speaking, which then, as we know, will then feed into writing as well, and for uh, facilitating our students to be more autonomous. I think that the new AI revolution with having avatars, I think, is a massive boon. But as you say, making sure that the AI is safe to use and appropriate for students. So it's wonderful. It's all good. You're ticking all the boxes. So do you want to share your screen, Emmanuel, and then talk us through? I'm going to turn my video off now, but I'll be collecting the questions, etc. And so everyone watching live right now, feel free to put the questions in the chat. It's helpful for me if you write the letter Q in front of your question so I can see when we have questions or when we have reflections. Feel free to reflect as well, and then we'll go from there. Okay, over to you, Emmanuel, and I'll turn off my video and audio.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Uh, Making sure the sound is also being shared. So, okay, can you guys all, Joe, can you see my screen here? Pretty well.
Yeah, all good. We can see your screen, no problem at all.
Let me move the. Okay, so we're Talos. I'm gonna go through a live demo of the platform. Basically, so we're not just languages. We're any school subject, math, STEM, liberal arts, And basically what we do is we let teachers transform any lesson into an interactive conversation. So let me just go ahead and get straight to the demo instead of talking about this. So from a teacher's perspective, I have you can go ahead and create a class, add students to your classroom, the normal stuff here. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like as a teacher create a speaking assignment, for instance. You have two options. You can create a role play or you can create a regular lesson. We call it just a regular topic. So a teacher would go through here, pick the topic. So you can pick whatever you want, or you can pick a suggestion here. So let's say the avatar is going to discuss food and drink, comida, bebida, if you're a Spanish teacher. You pick a standard. So we have the American, the European frameworks, and for you guys, it's most of you guys, it's probably going to be CEFR. Pick the level here. Let's say A1 through C2. So let's pick A1. I have tense controls. So in this case, maybe I'm teaching Spanish 1. My students don't know the past and future tense. I can restrict the avatar to be in the to be only speak in the present. Let's go ahead and keep going here. I can also pick vocabulary or add questions that I want the avatar to use. So in this case, I have some suggestions that the platform is going to give me, or I can just input my own, of course. So I'm just going to go with pan, agua, so bread, water, and apple, let's say, and then maybe a question or two that the avatar wants to ask. ¿Te gusta la manzana? So like, do you like an apple? Do you like apples? And maybe comes pan en el desayuno. So do you eat bread for breakfast? And then here it gets really, really cool. So for languages, all our avatars come with accents. So for instance, here we have a choice of 6 options. And each one, for instance, has a different accent, representing all several Spanish accents. For instance, the Spain one, the Castilian, Colombian, Mexican, Dominican. Dominican is really my favorite one. But yeah, you can pick whatever you want here. So let's go with Sophia. Um, and you have a choice of voice speed, so you can set it to slow for beginning students. Also a choice of how long you want this speaking assignment to go, so 5 minutes or 7 minutes. And lastly, you pick the topic date. So I want a start date. I can pick my end date for the assignment. It goes ahead and creates it. So I'm going to go ahead and demo this. And actually, what I have prepared for you guys is a role play with Santa Claus. So it's really fun. Let's go ahead and start it and see what happens. So here's our cute little avatar. We have several types of avatars. So this is more of a cartoon one. There's also realistic ones. I'm going to turn on pronunciation check and grammar feedback. So you'll see what these do in a second. Let's go ahead and start. And Joe, can you let me know if you can hear it when it talks?
Ho, ho, ho. Hola, soy Santa Claus.
Good. Yeah, we can hear
¿Cómo
that fine.
estás, querido amigo? ¿Ha sido bueno este año?
So he's gonna ask me. He's gonna start here. He's saying I'm Santa, and then let's say I don't know what the sentence mean. What the sentence means right here. I just click. I can click any part of the phrase or any particular word. Click the translate button here, and he's saying, "Have you been good this year?" It's a typical Santa question. So let me go ahead and respond to him. Uh, Hola Santa. I'm a beginner Spanish student. Can you help me? So let's see what he says. So if you notice, he caught what I said in Spanish, and also I switched to English here. So most of the students using our platform they speak in Spanglish, very beginner level, right? So it's important that the AI can grab both of
Por
them.
supuesto. Estoy aquí para ayudarte. Dime, ¿qué te gustaría de regalo este año? ¿Has sido un buen estudiante?
So he'll understand what a student says in any language, but he'll try to keep it because it's a Spanish lesson. He'll try to keep it in Spanish. So he's saying, have I been what do I want for a gift this year? Have I been a good student? Let's say, he sido muy bueno ese año. Yo quiero un carro. So I said, I've been very good this year. I want a car. And let me show one more.
Oh, un carro. Eso es un gran regalo. ¿Has ayudado a tus amigos o familia este año? Cuéntame
So
más.
here's another thing. So there's grammar feedback for every response, and in this case, it says like use este instead of ese. That's that's very valid and gives me for every response here. I can get it here. So use soy to introduce yourself, and then principiante. Okay, like instead of using the English here. So it's gonna give me feedback and it's gonna keep continuing the conversation. So he's saying, okay, let's do one more response. He's saying, have I helped my friends or family this year? Tell me a little bit more. So I'll say, Hola Santa, what does cuéntame más mean in English? Okay, so you got the multilingual here.
Cuéntame más significa tell me more en inglés. Ahora, ¿cómo has ayudado a tus amigos o familia?
It's going to keep keeping the conversation relevant to the topic. Many students will try to talk about random things or divert it. The AI will always try to bring it back in a relevant way. And you can see the timer here on the right. We set it to 5 minutes and it's counting down. So 1 minute, 50 seconds here left. I'm going to go ahead and evaluate. And my teacher is going to get, and well, the teacher in this case is me, but if I was a student, they would get this evaluation as well as the transcript. So let's look at what it said. 3 out of 5 stars. So some strengths, they successfully communicated their wishes, as in yo quiero un carro. But there were some minor grammatical errors, some vocabulary comprehension, and it gives me some room for improvement here. In this case, like I got a este versus ese, this versus that sort of thing. Like I need to brush up on. This is pretty valid. Okay, so I'm gonna pause right there before I go ahead and show any more. Any questions in particular? Anyone would like to know anything more about the lesson creation? That sort of thing.
So we haven't got any questions, but I've got a question. So we had the word Carol there. So I mean, my Spanish is a bit rusty now, but if we're talking about Castilian Spanish, would that not be coche? So when you were saying about the different versions of Spanish, do you have Castilian Spanish as well as South American Spanish as well? Is that
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So yeah, you're right there. Caro would be car, but in different contexts, they'd use different words for it. It really depends on so for instance here. This is the part I was going to show in a second. So basically, the teacher can put in like what I think it defaults actually to Spain Spanish, but they
Mm.
can change in the characteristics here. Like you can put in use colloquial Castilian or something like that, and then the avatar will follow that the example you use. But I think it defaults to Spain Spanish in general. Um,
So if you wanted to put in a certain number of words, let's say, on a certain topic, because, for example, for those people working in England, we've got with the new GCSE, we've got a certain vocabulary list for different exam boards. Is it possible to put in, let's say, 10 particular vocabulary items that we then want the avatar to help us practice?
So what I'd recommend in that case is so the avatar right now we let it have 5 questions and 5 vocab words up to 5. And the reason is it tries to incorporate them naturally in a conversation as opposed to being, like let's say you had 10 or you had 10 questions, it would be a little rushed or it would say things in a trying to use all the vocab words as opposed to have a conversation that's kind of guided by the student. What I would recommend is set up a different activity that practices a different portion of those vocab words, if that makes sense, Joe.
Yeah, that's great. That's lovely. Fantastic. Excellent. So let's see the next bit of the demo if that's okay. But it's yeah, it's really interesting so far.
So, okay, what we just saw, so I presented the Santa Claus example. I didn't go through our role play. Our role play setup is a bit different from our lesson setup. The differences would be, let's say I'm in my role play setup here. I could pick it could really be any character. It could be a waiter. You could pick an option here, or you could make it be, Harry Potter. You could whatever you want. And then you can give the AI a student objective. So basically, what should the student be doing in this case? So let's say I wanted to, let's go with the waiter example. And then the student should order orange juice and ask for the bill. So the AI will now, as part of the feedback and evaluation, it'll use that to judge, where was that conversation going? So that'll be part of the feedback. And now this is very interesting. So in a role play, a teacher can actually add characteristics. So a characteristic would be certain things that change how the AI behaves. So let's say use very simple sentences and use let's say, okay, very simple sentences, and then to use the example that Joe just gave, use Castilian colloquial. For example, use coche instead of carro. Okay, so in this case, you can be very, very specific, and these are characteristics that the AI will follow very, very strictly. Cerebro mista, you can pick an example here. That means be funny. So it just changes the how the AI interacts with the student. The idea with the role play as opposed to a lesson is that the AI takes the personality of someone as opposed to trying to teach you something. So those are just like some differences there between a role play and a lesson. Let me quickly show you an assignment with a lesson here. So let's say we were doing here's a more advanced one. So the history of Colombia. I'm gonna do the same thing, and you'll kind of see this is not a role play. Let's see how the AI talks through this one.
Hola, ¿cómo estás hoy? Vamos a hablar sobre la historia de Colombia y su revolución. Es un tema muy interesante, ¿verdad? Para comenzar, ¿cómo crees que eran las condiciones en la colonia antes de la independencia?
Yo creo que las condiciones eran muy difíciles, ¿sí? Mucha gente estaba viviendo muy mal y todo. So in this case, like the for an example of this would be like the teacher would assign a reading, and then the AI is basically almost checking that you did the reading or can talk about a particular subject. Very useful for exams and that sort of thing. So he got what I said here. Um,
Exactamente. Las condiciones eran muy difíciles. Muchas personas querían un cambio y por eso comenzaron a pensar en la independencia. Ahora, ¿sabes cuál fue el papel de los combatientes en la Revolución colombiana?
so he's asking me now, like, who were the combatants? Who were basically the participants in this? What role did they play in the Colombian Revolution? And I can say. Yo no sé quiénes fueron. Dime, ¿quién fue el líder? So I said, I don't know who was the leader. And let's see what the AI says.
Claro. El líder más famoso fue Simón Bolívar, conocido como el Libertador. Él y muchos otros combatientes lucharon por la independencia de Colombia y otros países en América del Sur. ¿Qué piensas de los sacrificios de estos combatientes?
Okay, so I think we have some questions coming in. In this example right here, he told me the leader was Simón Bolívar, so he's responding to what I said, and he's going to ask me some follow-up questions. What do you think of the sacrifices of these people? Joe, do you want to? I can't see the questions directly from my screen.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a question come through from Renika, which is I'd like to ask if students cannot answer a question, can they ask to rephrase it?
Yes, absolutely. So there's different levels. You can ask to rephrase it in a simpler way. You can ask that even in English, and the AI will understand you. At some point, if you say I don't know, the AI will give you the answer, but it tries to make you work a little bit. But yeah.
So if the student goes into English, does that have a big effect on the star rating that it gets? Does it give you more stars if you stick in the target language, for example?
Absolutely. So, in the example I just did with the Santa, for instance, it gave me I think it was a 3 out of 5. But one of the areas to watch was that I kept switching languages. So the more you do that, the more it'll ding you on the rating.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you. So keep the questions coming, everyone. That's great.
I think let's see.
Oh, yeah. We've got another question from Maria. Do we have a choice in the wording of the evaluation?
In the wording of the evaluation. So let me show you from a teacher's perspective. You don't have a choice in like the strengths area to watch or what the evaluation here. Let me show you from a teacher's perspective real quick what you would see. Uh, let's go back to Spanish. So here, for instance, I'm gonna see I have a fake student here. That's just me. And I see here, okay, doctor in the ER. There was a role play, 2 out of 5. View report. I get to see like the summary here, the synopsis here, and as well as the transcript as well. So yeah, to answer your question, the teacher doesn't get to choose the wording of the response, but they do get a full transcript as well as explanation of why this rating was given.
And then does the student get to see, obviously they get to see do they get to see the transcript and then the feedback, or is that just what the teacher gets to see?
The student will see both of these as well. So,
Okay,
yeah, so
amazing. That's great. Thank you.
do we have any more questions, or was that
Uh,
all?
Not yet, but I'm sure we'll get some more questions in a moment. Yes, it's very, very interesting, I think.
Yeah, so so like we just covered creating topics, creating role plays, and viewing reports. So our world languages program has over 12 languages. You would just the way you'd set up a class, you'd pick it's very simple. You'd pick a class name, so let's say Spanish 1, and then you pick a world languages here from the subjects, and you see all there's 12 languages here. You pick your example. Um, would anyone be interested in seeing a particular language in particular? For instance, ESL has more translation options as opposed to just translating into English. That's something else. I don't know if anyone wants to see a particular language.
Definitely. I mean, we could definitely look at an ESL option. I'd love to see the French option as well.
Okay.
And I don't have German personally, but I'm sure people in the call do have German. So it'd be lovely to see, certainly from a sort of an English point of view, that the big three languages tend to be French, Spanish, German.
Yep.
So if we have time, I'd love to see some different examples of those, if that's okay. Plus ESL, of course.
Yeah, I could do French, but my French is limited to like 3 words, so it might not be very useful. Um, I can try though, just as a very basic. Let's see. So I created the assignment creation is the same. Let's go ahead and see what this sounds like.
Bonjour. Comment ça va aujourd'hui? Tu es prêt, à pratiquer le français avec moi?
So this is a good example of. So I don't know what she's saying. Probably saying if I'm practicing Spanish for students or.
Are you to practice your French with me?
So let's say let me say something random. So I'll say um je m'appelle Manny. Um I don't know much more French than that. So it's gonna another reason here is with the pronunciation check is sometimes the AI will like if you mix languages too much, it'll get a little confused. So you can just keep retrying and without like steering the conversation off in a particular direction. Je m'appelle Manny. Okay.
Enchanté, Mani. Tu viens d'où?
It's asking like where do I live, right? Let's see.
Yeah. Where are you from? Yeah.
So let's say uh I live in India. Sorry, I'm from India, but I live in the US. So let's say yeah, completely in English. Let's see what it says.
C'est super. Tu parles anglais et peut-être d'autres langues?
Hmm.
So what do you think that means? What do you think?
Tu parles anglais is like do you speak English?
Yeah.
Eh,
And
eh,
perhaps,
or do you speak other languages as well?
or perhaps other languages, it means, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty decent at languages. I can count. Okay, so Joe. You have to let's see. Let me see if I said j'aime speaking in other languages. So with French, actually, the pronunciation is very kind of hard in this case for me, as opposed to Spanish. So you have to
Sure.
try. Um, let's say bonjour. J'aime speaking in French. Okay, so you see, if I add a little more French there, he starts getting the both of it, multilingual. Um,
C'est génial. J'adore aider avec le français. Est-ce que tu aimes la culture belge?
she's asking if I like Belgium culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you get the hang of this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's similar. Let's see.
And thank you for being brave and practicing your French. That's really great. We've got another question that's come up from Maria again. What other differentiation examples are there apart from the homework that we can set for students with differentiated vocabulary of our choice? Words that we teachers differentiate according to the students' levels because we know them. Is that possible? So you showed us how you can add certain words. So
Yeah.
would that be how you could differentiate, or could it be that, let's say, in a class that you give um, avatars which are going to produce more challenging language to some students, and then other avatars that will be more sympathetic and cater to students who have less of that language?
Yeah, exactly. So the way I recommend is if you look at my screen, I have a lot of topics. This is from the teacher perspective, but you can make the same one. Like you can be, for instance, I have food and drinks here and mentioned several times. So there's three activities for food, but one of them's at the C2 level, another one's at A1. So I would just like let the students know that one of them is more advanced, so they can see the students can also see the level when they go to the assignment. So have the relevant students choose the appropriate assignment, if that makes
Okay. 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 And we've had a great question from Natalie, which is, does it adapt to the voice or gender of the student and change the adjective? So obviously with certain expressions, the gender of the person speaking is key for how the grammar will then work and with agreements, etc. How does Talos deal with that?
Yep. So it absolutely adapts. It will learn it during the conversation. Like if you say, if it's almost like, because the avatar can't see you, right? But if you say something like, I'm Manny, or indicating that, or use phrases in a way that you are male, it'll adapt to that conversation. And obviously the same for a female. So,
Okay. 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 I understand. Great
um,
question.
that's a really good question. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the if you so like the trialing process and pricing, if that's all right, Joe.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm sure that's a question that is on people's minds at the moment, I'm sure.
So our pricing is very accessible. So it's $3, $3 or in British pounds it'd be 2.75, maybe something like that, per student for the entire year. So it's very accessible, and all we care about really is the number of students that you sign up. So it's very automatic on our platform here. So if you're a world language teacher, you would just go select the number of students. So let's say I want 100 students. After, of course, I'm sure there's an approval process at the school. It would give you a quote here. You'd go, there's a receipt, an automatic receipt that you can pay with a card or something like that. And then your account will be automatically upgraded. In order to trial the platform, as soon as any teacher, for instance, any of you guys on this call can go in and just sign in here and create a teacher account. Let me go in here. So a teacher account here with just your email and some details about you. And it'll automatically give you a 7-day free trial that you get full functionality to try. You can add up to 30 students during that trial period. Also, if you want more time, you just send an email to our Talos email here with the contact us button, and we can extend your trial. Um, Trying to see. I think it's a good segue into. Does anyone have any questions on that particular? And I think afterward I can start talking about some of the data and privacy.
We don't have any questions about that now, but I think it would be really important to sort of go through about the data, where the data is stored, how it's dealt with, and the onboarding process. So let's say you set up a class or they set up an account in the way that you've said. If you could maybe give us an idea of how you would then onboard students, for example.
So for students, students make a student account, but they use an anonymous username. So the only thing we need from a student is this anonymous name. It's up to the teacher to make students in class use names that aren't like, you know, Manny Boy 72 or something that can be something that can be identifiable to the teacher. But on our side, we don't have any more information from any student and there's no way to identify them. I can also show you. So when a student goes in and creates their account, so let's say I'm gonna just use my student account here. So all they would need to do to join this is from a student perspective. All they would need to do to join is enter the class code that's on the teacher account. So when a teacher creates a class, it generates a code. You would share this code with the students. As soon as they enter it, they automatically can see all the assignments that are available to them. So for instance, this is my student account. I see I did one assignment here. I have several that I still need to do. I can see the report. To answer your other question, Joe, this is from a student perspective. They can see their report as well as the transcript. So yeah, it's very simple on the student side. In terms of data privacy and that sort of thing, we don't, yeah, like I mentioned, we don't require any information from the student besides the anonymous username. Also, we're COPPA, FERPA, GDPR compliant. So basically, it's the no means of tracking or identifying the student, and also we don't train our AI models on any student data. The AI model is actually local to the device itself. They're very like small, lightweight models. We're not using like OpenAI, Claude, GPT. They run on your device itself, and they don't train at all. So that should generally answer the data privacy and security type questions.
That's
Let
fantastic. So just to clarify then, so the students, they have to come up with a username, they log in, they come up with a password, is that right? Or does the teacher make up the password for them? Can the teacher see all the passwords, or can create a new password for a student if they can't remember their password, that sort of thing?
So on the teacher side, as of now, or sorry, on the student side, as of now, it's just a username that the student would create and then a password that they would remember. If a teacher, let's say a student forgets the password, so instead of like going through us or anything, a teacher can just delete that student from their account and have them just make another one and join the class again. So it's a simple process as opposed to, like us sharing, or us like storing passwords or having a student go through and the system or going to us to get that password back. Let me know if that makes sense, Joe.
Yeah, that's fine. And is it possible, for example, for a teacher to say share a spreadsheet with you to input the names, or is that something that the only way of the students creating an account is for them to each do that manually? Is that right?
We could also do that. Like if his teacher shares a spreadsheet with us, we can go ahead and create it. But in practice, we found that like it's quite easy for students to just enter the code and boom, they're automatically in the class as opposed to a teacher doing extra work and also students feel more what's the word like they feel like they have more control over their assignments and accounts, especially if they have multiple classes that are using Talos. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. Oh, we got another question. But the student would lose the info that was associated to their initial account if they forgot their details. So that would be what are the issues around if it's not possible for the teacher to have access to each student's account or password? It would mean if the only solution, if there's not like a forgot password option or what have you, then by deleting the account, if that's the option, that presumably would then mean that they would have to start again from scratch if they've already created assignments, etc. Is that right? I'm just trying to clarify because I'm sure these are the questions that people will want to know, as it were.
Yeah. So let me just show you can you see my screen here?
Yep, all good.
Oh, yeah. So for instance, I have a sample student here. If I go ahead and remove this student, yes. So you are right in that case. Like if you go ahead and remove a student, their data from like past assignments, like what they've completed, that sort of thing. The transcripts that will be removed. You would have to go through us to, have that to connect the two accounts. But there's nothing limiting, what's the word? Like, there's nothing limiting a student from just creating a new account and getting all the assignments again. Maybe they want to have another go. I don't know.
Right, got it. Right, but then the history that they've had of the different interactions that they already had, there's no way, there's not like a forgotten password option whereby they could then create another password but keep the same username, etc. They'd have to start from scratch. Is that
We are,
right?
yeah. So right now that you're totally right, we are adding very soon in the next couple of weeks a forgotten password. But it has to. The tricky part is like we don't want students like talking. It's like a legal issue, right? Going through us to get to resurrect their account, right? It would have to go through the teacher. So there's a little bit of complexity there, but we are working on that at the moment. Yep.
That's it. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. That's really, really interesting. So so we another question from Renika. It's always questions about security and data and all this sort of thing. Okay, so in order for a student to create an account, he or she needs to use an email. Is that right? No, it's not an email. It's a username, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an anonymous username. It could be, you know, my house is pretty, like that. That's it, right? Like, but it's up to the teacher to make the student use a name that they can identify, right? As opposed to some random username.
So what you would suggest is that the teacher, let's say, if you're using this with, say, a class of 30, that the teacher creates usernames that they understand what those are rather than asking the students to create them. And then uh, they could use the same password, presumably, as well. That wouldn't matter. And then the teacher would then be in control of the usernames. You wouldn't have students coming up with silly usernames, which, as we know, with other quiz platforms where they get a kick out of having a silly username appearing on the screen, then the teacher could be in control. That would probably be the best way of managing it, I would suggest, in the current iteration.
That's one way. In fact, most of the teachers that use us currently, they just tell their students to use a format. So they'll be like Y11, Roger,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, whatever,
yeah.
and then the
Good idea.
students have to use that. Yeah.
That's great. We've got another question from Maria again, which is I'm just wondering then if it should be a recommendation for students to back up their homework, assignment history, feedback, etc., in a Word document or in the cloud, like with other platforms. Is it possible to export any of the feedback they've received once they've done an assignment, for example?
So right now we don't have LMS integration. In a few weeks, like literally in October, we're gonna have that. So you can just
Right.
export like you're saying. Number two, uh, if you ever want to, like, if you ever run into an issue where, a student, like, they lost their account or you can just reach out to us, tell us the username of the student, and we'll get that back for you onto their account. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. That's lovely. Any more questions from anyone? Manny is here right now to help and to respond. Any other questions about data or assignment history or anything like that? This is your opportunity to put a question directly to Manny. That would be great. This has been really fascinating, I think, and I think that I really applaud how you built this tool to encourage students to practice the world languages. I think it's wonderful. It's great. Oh, Maria said thank you in the chat. That's lovely. Thank you for your question, Maria. Wonderful. Amazing. So with that delete button as well, am I right in thinking, are we looking at the student view? Oh, no, so we're looking at the teacher view. So the teacher could delete um, the feedback, etc., if they wanted to,
Yeah.
but the student couldn't do that. Is that right? They're not able.
Yeah. The student can't touch the
Yeah.
class or yeah, no, they can't touch the assignment. As teacher can always delete an assignment. It's either they can delete a class. Of course, if you delete a class, like the feedback is not going to be stored on your side. It's going to be stored on our side, but like, yeah. So students have no control over that aspect.
And the question that normally comes up as well, I'm surprised it hasn't come up this evening, is if a student were to use bad language or curse words, etc., presumably, well, would Talos Learn flag that up, or would it just be a question that the teacher could see that in the transcript, or would there be reference to that in the feedback, or would there be some sort of um, flagging process to make it clear it wasn't acceptable, etc.
Yeah. So we definitely flag that. Actually, if you use kids say all sorts of things. So it's flagged in, of course, it comes up in the transcript. It's flagged in the report, like it'll say, inappropriate language. And we're also right now, currently we're building a process where it'll give you a bad grade as well. So you'll see like a 0 stars or a 1 star or something, and you can just check why. But right now we're also building like a little badge that will show like inappropriate language or something like that, just to give you extra visibility into
Yeah.
the yeah.
That's a really good idea, I think. We've had another question from Natalie, or another one from Maria as well. This is great. All the questions are coming in now. Wonderful. So Natalie is saying, can you allocate the same task to multiple classes? That's a great question, Natalie. Thank you.
So right now you can't, you would have to just recreate it. So use the same topic or the same level or those little configuration settings in another class. We don't have a way to, once you create an assignment, it's just for that particular class. But yeah.
Okay, I understand. That's great. And then Maria is saying, is there an option for the teacher to display in the app several examples of students' work to show different levels of expected achievement in terms of homework? So presumably, Maria, what you're saying is you want to model good examples to the other students. Is that right, Maria? What you're saying is that possible, or is it just that's what Maria is asking. Is that possible, or is it all very much the teacher can see everything, but the students can only see their own work, not anyone else's?
So to understand the question better, so you're saying like you want to show the class like an example transcript of a conversation that was like 5 out of 5 or something like that, right?
Exactly. That's my understanding. So, in other words, the teacher could pick out a good example, as they would in, say, class, of a good interaction. They could then maybe pin that to that particular assignment, so that the students could see a good example, a good model of what they're trying to do.
We don't have that right now, but that is a really good suggestion, and I'm going to talk to the team about this afterwards. So that's a
Amazing. There we are. That's the great thing about doing these webinars. Having practicing teachers suggesting these things. That's great. Thank you, Maria. So if Maria's saying it would be great if you could have maybe three different ones, let's say, so you could have maybe a good example, an intermediate example, and a more basic example to show from a differentiation point of view, which obviously is really key. The sorts of examples that you're looking for. That's great.
okay.
Amazing.
Perfect. And let me actually show Joe. So let me talk about two things that we're working on right now. So one thing we're working on right now is we were talking about the student portal. We're gonna add an option for unlimited, not unlimited, but like it's like a student practice avatar. So maybe for a test or something, they can have a free talk. It's like free talk mode. So instead of a particular assignment assigned by a teacher for 5 minutes, a student can just go in and brush up their Spanish or start using just start talking, right? Maybe even before going into Spanish class, something like that. And that's just a way to for students to feel a bit more do something as opposed to the assignment driven approach. And secondly, real quick, I'm gonna show so for more let's say adult students or maybe some different preferences. We have a different type of avatar, which is more realistic. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys here. This is not on we're moving these in the platform. That's why you don't see them. But they're on our YouTube channel, and I'm gonna show you real quick. So this is let's do the Spanish one again. Oh, let's do Chinese. So wait, can you guys probably can't see my screen yet, right?
Yeah, we can see your screen fine. We can't hear anything yet, but I think that's just a question of pressing play. So this another format, is that right? Another
Yeah,
exercise
so
type that you have.
can you see the avatar, the lady here?
Yep, all good.
Okay. So
你好，
let's play here.
Yep, that's fine.
Let it run for a little bit.
你好，我叫美，今天我们要聊家庭，我们开始吧。
我们开始吧。我们开始吧。
太好了，你有一个大家庭吗？
So this example here is it's a realistic avatar. It looks like a person. And so there's like you were asking Joe, is it a different format? So basically we're going to be using this in a coming feature called group activities. So there's going to be something that the teacher can project on the wall or something like that, and the whole class can participate. So the teacher would basically call certain students, or a certain student would raise their hand like digitally on their laptop, and then say a response, and the avatar would say something back, and then the teacher can go ahead and pick some other students. It's basically a group concept. And this is a different type of avatar. It's really a the realism is really really interesting to see. So that was just a quick demo into to what's coming.
Great. Can we talk through this a little bit more, if that's okay? Because that's very interesting. So you're saying that the teacher would share that on a screen, let's say a whiteboard, etc., and then each student would have to access the avatar via their own device. Is that right? Or would it be a question of it's just on the teacher's computer, and then the students would come up to the board or come up to the microphone and speak into it? Is that what you mean, or do you mean that each student would be talking into their own device?
So in the same way that Talos is now, so like there's the teacher platform and there's the student version, right? The student portal. It's the same
Mhm.
thing, but instead of so the teacher would project like let's say the assignment, right? And then in the same way of a Kahoot, so if you know how Kahoot works, the student would join from their school laptop or something, and then on their side it would just be like a microphone or something set up there. They could be at their desk, and they can only respond once called on or if maybe they raise their hand on the device and get access, and they can talk to the avatar, right? Let me know if that's making sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then can you talk about the scaffolding or the tiles that are on the screen in green and in blue and then in white? Presumably the ones in blue and white are the direct transcripts of what the character is saying and then what the speaker is saying, or the person responding in this case would be a student. And then is that scaffolding on the right hand side the green tiles for words that you want the avatar to say or for you to use in your responses?
Yeah, so these are that's a good question. The captions there are very similar to the ones that we have right now, but it's like for the big screen, so it's just captions on the left. And then on the right with the green tiles, that's the vocab. As you can see, there's a lot more vocab that a teacher can put in, and that's because it's a full class activity. The avatar will try to incorporate this, plus check for like you get a better score if you utilize that vocab in the conversation itself. Also, there's let me move ahead in the video maybe. The questions that the avatar is going to ask, they also will pop up here. Maybe I don't have them in this video, but yeah. So to answer your question, both the avatar will try to use some of these this vocab in like a longer assignment that would be a group assignment, as well as checking the understanding of students once they if they incorporate them in their response.
Yeah, that's brilliant. As Maria has just said, she's literally written, "That's brilliant." I agree. I think so. Then to clarify, with the first examples we looked at, when it's more sort of not exactly free form, but because you're asking the avatar to ask certain questions and to use certain vocabulary, but it's less structured, which is a good thing, obviously. Once the students are more have practiced the vocabulary, etc., and they're more confident about speaking with less support. But what I like about what we're seeing here is that you are providing the written form to support and scaffold the response that the student is giving. So maybe you could start off with this and then move on to the earlier examples whereby the student is becoming, if you like, more independent, or that's the idea. You're encouraging them to be more independent by allowing them more flexibility in the possible answers that
Exactly.
the chatbot can give. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
So the what you're saying is more like the second example that I'm showing right now, right? It's more of a more flexibility toward the student, right? Is that's
But
the
no, the
question?
opposite. What I'm saying is that if you're showing the words on the screen,
Yep.
then if the idea is to give more scaffolding to the student, they can then see those words. It can help them with their response. Whereas in the first example, it was more that the avatar would come up with the questions that the teacher has asked,
Yep.
but there wasn't the same support compared to in the example you've just shown us. So I think having both would be perfect, and then
Okay,
the
so we're
teacher
gonna.
activities to have more to make the students more and more independent, which is obviously what we want to do.
So yeah, exactly. So this is a teacher can actually the way we're having this is coming very soon, but a teacher can set the like, oh, no captions for this one. I want the vocab shown, I want the question shown, whatever. But like here, for instance, like you just said with the vocab, here the questions are always also shown, so the students can kind of prepare an answer to one of these
Mm.
questions. Yeah, so yeah, to agree with you, it's more scaffolded, it's more um yeah, it's more supportive, and then teachers can put a lot more questions. But this is we're restricting these is at the end of the day, it's all about like how much things cost to use the realistic versions. They're more expensive, and they so we're kind of restricting them to group activities as opposed to day-to-day ones like the that we have for the cartoons. So
I understand, but I think that's been very interesting to see the difference between the two. And yeah, as you say, doing this as a group activity, I think what I would do, looking at this, is I would start off with the group activity, and then I would assign an avatar for each student in a particular class, whereby they've got a better understanding of what it is that we want them to practice, and then I think they would be able to cope better when it's more open-ended, as it were, with the avatars from the first example. So that's really helpful. That's great. So can you maybe describe a little bit about the restrictions, let's say, with the group activity? Are there a set number of group activities you can do a day, or are there a set number of interactions you can have with an avatar, et cetera, et cetera?
So yeah, to for your first point there, I think we can. That's a really good point. I think even with the cartoonish kind of avatars, we can start displaying the vocab and the questions right there in the call itself, just to help students. We can have that be an option, to help them feel a little supported as well. And then secondly, yeah. So your question about we have no restriction on the number of assignments. You can make an assignment. You can make 3 assignments a day if you want. And that goes for group activities as well as role plays or lessons like normal. So
Yeah, that's great. I think having the option to have the extra supportive tiles on the screen, if the students wanted, you could maybe have some sort of toggle button so they could choose to see the questions, see the vocabulary, or remove it once they felt more confident. I think that would be a really, really good idea because I mean, I'm very impressed the way in which you're constantly trying to make it better. I'm sure that you love to hear feedback from users and potential users as well to see how you can support as many teachers as possible. It's just wonderful. Thank you.
And we've just on that point there, we've built the whole platform listening to teachers. So I think over a year ago, we went to over 10 language conferences, all around the world. And we just started asking teachers like, what would you like to see? Like, is this some teachers, they wanted the voice speed differently, or they wanted different accents, and that's kind of how the platform has been built, as opposed to creating just cool tech. We want to like really teacher driven tech. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Amazing. If anyone has any other questions, then feel free to put them in the chat. Oh, we got one from Renika. Perfectly. Perfect. Can we share our activities or role plays with other teachers? Oh, great question. For example, when we collaborate with other schools, can we share our activities or role plays? Is that possible, or is that something that you're considering in your roadmap?
I think so what got brought up here with being able to share activities across classes and across right now we can't, like, you can't directly export an activity to like a Word doc or even to another teacher, but I think those are things that we could work on immediately. So,
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great because I mean, it's still quite young, isn't it, as a tool? But I think that this sort of feedback, as you say, it's very useful to see what it is that teachers want, and then being able to build those features. Obviously, you can't please everybody all the time, but to see what are the most requested features, and as a result of that, building those. We see another question from Maria. Is there? Oh, yeah, I think there is, Maria, but we'll just go through this now to remind people. Is there a speed option for the avatar speaking pace? There is, isn't there? There's the slower one and the normal one. I think you showed us earlier.
Yeah, the slow is very nice for beginners. For French would probably be nice for me if I put it on slow. But yeah, there's two options.
Amazing. And then we have another question from Natalie saying, in terms of price, is there a minimum number of students we need to register? So you had the sliding scales because Natalie has a small class of 4 students. Would is that possible to have it as small as that, or is there a certain minimum number of students you could have access to for this?
So directly on the platform, like if you go and try to pay just like straight on the website, it'll restrict it to a minimum of 30, I think it's 33 or 35. But
Mhm.
if you just want to assign 4 students, we can handle that for you like manually by email. So
Okay, that's lovely. Any other questions from anyone else at all? Would be uh, would be great to see. Uh, you've done a great job, Manny, coping with all these questions. It's fantastic. So,
absolutely.
any other questions from anyone else in the meeting right now? Otherwise, we're coming up to the hour, so we're probably nearing to be wrapping up. But if you do have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we can then go from there. That's great. I mean, I'm just very impressed. I think it's very interesting what you're building here, and it seems it seems that the even if a student tried to use bad language or get the avatar to say silly things, as it were, presumably there are guardrails in the background that have been put in there to make sure that the avatar will never
Yep.
react in an aggressive or angry or what have you way. It'll always be understanding and compassionate or what have you.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep. So right now we're being used in over 200 schools,
Yeah.
and every day, like some kid tries to do something. So kids will be kids, right? So yeah, but the avatar will always redirect to the conversation, and like you said, it never gets frustrated.
Yeah, which is one of the great things about AI, I think, from that point of view, the fact that it is um, a, a very understanding patient teacher, and it means presumably the students could access the avatar 24/7 if they wanted to, and presumably they could access it on their phone as well as on a PC, on a laptop, so they can use it on any device. So as long as they get the teacher signs them up, as it were, it means that. They can that those students who want to, who are keen, can get as much practice as they need to, and that's all about building their confidence, as I said earlier, which is one thing I'm really excited about with the use of AI for conversation practice. I think it's genuinely wonderful. Got another lovely question from Maria, which is, can avatars sing a song?
Uh,
And if not, why not?
well, I mean, we're talking about general AI technology. They can, but on Talos, they won't be singing, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so if there are no other questions from anyone, we are, as I said, coming up to the hour. I'd just like to thank you for such a great demonstration, Manny. You've done a brilliant job, and you've done brilliantly in answering everyone's questions. If anyone has any further questions, obviously you can get in contact with Manny. We're going to be publishing the recording on my YouTube site as per normal, and I'd really encourage you all to sign up for the 1 week trial and to test it out with a class, see what they think of it, and yeah, just I'd encourage you to experiment and to see whether Talos Learn can have a big effect, not only in languages. Obviously, we're focusing on languages today, but in other subjects as well, and the way in which you can do other things, such as you can have like a whiteboard, can't you? You can have a whiteboard on the screen in other subjects like in maths, for example. I know we haven't touched upon that today, but that's another exciting possibility. So if it's a question of persuading the head teacher or the principal to invest in Talos Learn, just say it is a cross-curricular tool. It can be used for other subjects as well as for languages, and that could be a nice way in, maybe. Any thoughts on that in relation to the cross-curricular use? I mean, in the 200 schools
Yeah.
that are using Talos Learn at the moment, are most of them using it for languages, or are they? Is there a real mix?
So languages and STEM, those are our most popular subjects. And like you said, so for STEM, it's it's similar in terms of the avatars, but we have very different like input modals if you use that. So the drawing board, a lot of kids like to take a picture of their work on a piece of paper and just send that to the avatar, and he takes a look at it. Of course, you can talk, you can write, you can draw, drawing for chemistry, that sort of thing. So it's a very yeah, it's a whole school platform. I didn't demo that aspect, but you can check it out as part of the free trial as well. It's very cool.
And your YouTube channel, which you've already shared already, that's got lots of example demos of the different things that Talos Learn can do as well. So I'd encourage everyone to have a look at that as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time, Manny, as well. Thank you for all the great questions as well. It's been very, very interesting. I see from Maria, we've got another comment. Manny, that was a great session. Thank you. And to you, Joe, that's very kind. Thank you for all the effort you're constantly putting into making our job as teachers easier. Webinars, trips, speeches, demos, no words. Cheers to all from Ireland. Well, you're very welcome. And thank you to everyone for your kind words as well. It's been a great webinar, very interesting. And do check out the recording, share it with your colleagues across the curriculum, as we've said, and give it a go. Experiment, sign up for the free trial, and if you need any sort of bespoke options, for example, if you have a smaller class or so on and so forth, or if your students can't remember their usernames or their passwords, then get in touch with Manny at Talos Learn, and he'll be able to sort it out for you. The team will be able to sort it out for you, I'm sure, and make that onboarding process as smooth as possible, which is what we all want. We just want the technology to become invisible, and we want to focus on the language learning. I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? And I think AI definitely offers a lot of interesting affordances to allow that to happen, particularly in speaking work, I think, which is why one reason I was very keen to showcase Talos to a wide audience, as wide as possible. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys, and thank you, Joe, for presenting as well.
You're welcome. So if we stop recording now, maybe, if that's okay.